This is the Empress evolution.
Welcome to Earth School, fellow philosopher. Spoiler alert, you're a multidimensional being with powers you may have thought only existed in stories. Faith or folly, round here we do it all. Many lives, many levels, many masters. Whether it's learning how to cook a healthy meal, navigating the spiritual life, processing our feels, or saving the planet, we're here for all of it. This is the Jessamyn Shows, presented by Empress Evolution.
All right. Welcome, Dr. Sharnael. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehan. I'm so excited to talk to you. Amelia was the one that introduced me to you, and I was like kind of connecting all of the dots and realized you are just a powerhouse. So this is really special for me to have you here. I mean, and look at you surrounded by seems like your life's work really behind you. So you're quite the force to be reckoned with. I'm really happy to have you here. So let's just kind of dive in a little bit. You are a doctor. How did you become a doctor?
Well, I never thought I was going to go down this path for sure. I didn't, when I was growing up, I wasn't like, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I thought I would be working with spiritual work and really had a big drawing to God, source. I do like science, but not necessarily thought I would do this. And animals is another thing I was really drawn to. I thought that I would be in some type of ministry or service or helping or something like that, and really felt drawn to it. And then when I moved to Louisiana, I actually came from a military background, so I didn't really live anywhere, and I didn't grow up in any kind of church type thing. But when I moved to Louisiana, pretty much everybody is in church, and so it was kind of like I went that route. And so then the filter came through of like, okay, service through like church or ministry or some kind of platform like that. And I ended up doing that through a long season of other things. I went to Bible school and graduate school for biblical purposes, and really thought that I would be in divinity or something along that lines. I knew I was going to get a doctorate, but I just thought it was going to be more along the spiritual aspects. And the religion that I was involved with at the time wouldn't allow women in ministry. So they told me, get some sort of graduate work or undergraduate work in something else, and then just like marry a pastor or, do work overseas. Like, so missions is totally fine with the body parts I have, but here in the States, it wasn't recognized. So I was like, that's not cool. But anyway, so it's a kind of a weird story, but I ended up getting into ministry. I started itinerant ministry in 2000, even though I had worked with like youth and helped, just to be an encouragement of hope and light and love and truth and, all of those things I'm passionate about. And I started doing itinerant work in ministry, where I traveled and was just on platforms for like conferences and speaking engagements and retreats and workshops and things like that. And in the process of doing that, I actually found myself sick. I had a lot of different symptoms and was just not doing well. And I went the Western way because that's kind of how I grew up, and most people had pointed in that direction. And I was on over 30 different medications that had a lot of side effects that really weren't making me feel any better. It was just like one thing led to another. And then I was with a suitcase of medicine traveling, and definitely mental gymnastics charts of like, don't take these two together and take these at night and take this in the morning. And this has to be with food. And, this is every other day. And this is what, and then not to mention the crazy, getting the refills and sitting in, sick rooms, just to get a refill, and, going home with hitchhiking something else, and just the whole craziness of all that. And so I kind of had given up because I wasn't feeling any better. And I was actually teaching a course on dreams and visions, and and how God speaks to you. And there was a lady there who had recommended a doctor who was an MD, but also worked a lot in energy and kind of a newer frequency type machinery and that kind of stuff, which I had studied quantum physics. I was a big geek, and neuroscience and frequency. And so that was appealing to me, although I was still kind of like, oh, this isn't going to work. I was just, but I did go and I got some freedom. I found myself, I was restored, and they use all kinds of technology. And it kind of started my path towards a more natural way to work through things and to support the immunity and support the body. And whether it's through supplements and food and, diet and detoxing and energy and, exercise and drinking good water and detoxing the house and essential oils and crystals. And it's kind of just, it wasn't all at once, but it led me to this bigger opportunity, I guess, through my own healing. And when I would go back to these ministry places that I had gone to over and over and over the years, it's like some of them would be like every September, the first week, and kind of like a set thing. I had dropped 80 pounds in about 16 weeks during this restoration period, because when we're sick and we're holding on to trauma and different things, you also hold on to weight and everything else. And when we have when we start to move those things out, then you have this automatic response. And so I was going to these places that I've been for decades teaching, with speakers that I stood next to for decades speaking, and they did not even recognize me. Like I walked in to a place in Holland and had been there many times, and stood it, got in there with my suitcases and was saying, hey, I'm here, and the people behind the registration table were like, okay, well, go ahead and register. And I was like, no, it's me. I'm Sharnael. Like, hello. So that happened. And there's another similar one in California. And when they saw that, they were like, what did you do? Not just like my physical, but, my countenance and my energy and everything had shifted so much. And so they were kind of like, when you come back, can you teach on whatever you did? And so I went from this, one, I was like, I don't know about teaching on it. I mean, I could tell you what I did, but I don't really have the, and so it was after several people had said that to me. I remember being on the plane and feeling like, well, maybe I should go back to school and learn something along this lines, because I was still feeling like that whole doctor thing. And I'm like, maybe this is the route. But I didn't want to do the medical Western. I wanted to do naturopathic. I wanted something very supportive of what my beliefs were. And I remember sitting on an airplane, and I said to myself, God, are you really saying you want me to be an ND? And I just thought that in my head. And I looked out the window, and we were on the tarmac, and they had these like, cones, and they had those like plastic yellow things that have like numbers and letters. And I literally looked to my left, and it said ND and an arrow pointing that way. And I was like, holy cap. So, I mean, here I am, I got like a newborn and 2 other kids. I was single, and it just didn't seem like the time to go back to school and start all over. But it was the best decision I ever made. And when I finished, I actually had someone from a medical conference, a naturopathic medical conference, contact me because they had heard me speak at a church or something. And they were like, we would love for you to join us at this conference. And it scared the crap out of me, because I was like, I'm used to this other setting with these other audience type people. And, I didn't want to get too spiritual, and I was worried that I wouldn't be a good fit. But I got up there and I was just authentic and honest and spoke even about, my God faith and spiritual things and how it's all working together, because it's very integrated. You guys know that, or you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And people were like, what? And the energy there was amazing. And it kind of turned into this whole thing where I suddenly had all these invitations to go to all this other stuff. So I feel like I went from like a church building to a whole world opportunity, just in that one choice. And I love the church. I love church. I also believe this is the church, and we are the temple, and we house something very precious and sacred, and we have to take care. We don't have to. We get to take care of this body, and we get to turn on the technology that's already here to remote view and to heal our own bodies and to heal others, and getting in other people's biofields and laying hands and using Reiki or energy to heal people, and to transport and to biolocate, and I mean all the telepathy. This is our technology. God has given us this, and it's time for us to wake up to that and to step into that and to remember that. I like the word remember better, and that's kind of where I am, and that's my mission.
That's amazing. It's so cool. So you became, you knew you wanted to do the naturopathic thing, like what, in your like late 20s, early 30s?
Oh no, I was late 30s.
Okay.
When going back to school with 3 babies and
Wow.
freshly divorced. So I was like, seems like the time wasn't, but also it wasn't ever so I would sit here and have like a practice and be able to like see patients every day. I didn't ever have that in my mind. I had it in my mind that I just wanted the information. So as I traveled everywhere and people would come with 200 questions, then I would be able to say, this is what you do, and it did turn into me getting to practice for a short time. And as soon as I had it, it flooded. And so now my practice has been online, doing online things. I do remote biofeedback, so I can scan you from anywhere. But and isn't it interesting with what's going on in this last year? Even the quote Western types, they're all moving into this techie, doing consultations over the phone. So
Yeah.
I've been doing that for a long time, and it's proven very, very helpful support to my clients. And I work in 40 different countries, and I have over 15,000 clients, and that grows and grows and grows. And so it's cool what God is doing, and what he's using social media and the internet to really just shrink the world.
It's so cool. And you've been doing a lot of interviews with people who are speaking up about, what is known as red pill information. How did you come across all of that?
Well, as I said, I grew up military. I was part of some of the projects having to do with Montauk. So I kind of was aware, at least on a subconscious level, of some things. I had an encounter at 4 years old that kind of shifted some things for me too. And so, I've always had this truth has been, and still is, I'm going to get emotional. I wasn't planning on crying. Truth is a standard that I hold very sacred and dear and holy, and love and truth it's important to me above all things. So I don't enjoy deception, or when anyone, whether it's government or I don't care who you are, don't lie. It's time for us to stay in our truth and stay in our love. And there's a authenticity to it. You can pick it up, you can hear it, you can feel it. We recognize truth. And I think that we're in a season, especially in this last year, because of what was presented to us, people made some choices, and that caused maybe a chance for people to sit a minute and to look at where they are and who they are and what was happening and what is happening. and it's caused a lot of questions that are important to ask right now. And it's getting crazier by the day. And my hope is that whatever's going on even now as we speak would provide another opportunity for a new round of waking up. You know, I kind of tease and say, you know, the sea was a wake up and a red pill. And I think that the new administration will be a bigger wake up. Well, and I say new administration, I don't actually believe that this person is a real administration, and with all due respect, but he's being used to allow this. And I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a Q person. I'm a truth person. I'm a life and love person. And I believe that we're on the awakening part of a opportunity and a tipping point for life or death right now in this situation. And I'm really putting a lot of energy and hope in the collective to take the courage to look behind the curtain, and maybe some things are a little bit different than what they thought. And it is scary, but I have hope in humanity.
I do too. I think it's gonna, I really feel, I don't know. There was a while recently when I was feeling almost consumed by all of this information. Like it was just like kind of having a negative effect on me. And then honestly, it was the interview that you did with Bob Stevens that just snapped me right out of it. I was like, what are you doing? Everything's going to be fine. Be in check with the vibration of where you're at and the thoughts that you're projecting out into this world, you know? And it can be very easy for people to just get very wrapped up in like needing to be right, needing to tell everybody the truth. And, you know, this is going to happen on this day and this is going to happen on that day. It's like, whoa, pause off, you know, like go ahead and let God be in the driver's seat. So it seems like you're very much in alignment with that. And I'm honestly, I'm in awe of you. And I'm like, what else do you do?
Well, and I appreciate what you're saying. And we are creators, we are commissioners, and we are incarnated here to occupy. And that takes a choice. And we're not going to meditate this away. I do believe in conscious creating. We're going to create one way or another. So we're either going to create with consciousness, or we're going to default and create by what they're leading us to anchor into with that narrative. And there's a movie that just came out. If you watched my interview with him, I talked about 1984 with Wonder Woman. And everyone kept talking about how we're in this like 1984 Orwell situation. And I hadn't read the book, I'm embarrassed to say. And, you know, so I was literally sitting on my couch and I'm looking to go order this book so I can catch up with the world and see what the book's about. But also at the same time, I got a text about this Wikipedia, WikiLeaks thing that supposedly just happened. And it's like, okay, guys, that was like years ago, but thanks for that. Thanks for catching up. But all of them were like 1984, pages and pages were dated from 1984. And I was like, okay, 84. And right when I was doing that, I look up and the television had on a commercial and it said WW 1984. It was for Wonder Woman. I had just seen that Wonder Woman TV show or a movie, and I loved the first one. The second one wasn't my highest. And I was like, this is so boring. But hindsight's 2020. And when I'm looking at what's happening now, I'm going back and referring to that because the theme of the movie, have you guys seen it?
No, I want to.
I have. Ooh,
Yes.
it's so good about manifesting an intention and the power of making a wish and hope and love. And when I saw it, I was like, this is exactly what I'm going through and what the world is going through. And it talks so much about the conscious creation that we're a part of. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're fighting over a crystal. They're fighting over this crystal, dark versus light. They're wanting to get this crystal, and this crystal, apparently the gods wanted it or had it, and you know, evil gets a hold of this crystal. Now, this crystal is what gives people the opportunity to make a one wish. Everyone gets one wish. So when it got into the hands of the quote bad guy, he used his one wish to be that he would become the wish. He would become the crystal. And so that was his one wish. After you get one wish, you don't get any more. But if he became the crystal, then he could walk around and say, hey, don't you wish that I was the richest person in the world? Or don't you wish? So he could usurp anyone that he talked to's wish for himself, which is totally wrong. But then it goes as far as trying to find some sort of satellite system where he can go and be in a place where everyone on the world can see him at one time, and he could say whatever he wants, and the world would usurp their wishes with him in that one moment. And he even like got the president involved. He actually, said, don't you wish I had the same authority you did? And the president gave him that authority. He was like, sure, yeah. And like, not, and this is the thing, we're giving up our wishes by default, by connecting to the narrative that's being shown through the programming of the MK Ultra. And I mean, they did it in Montauk. They've done it through these towers. Or there's lots of programs they've done this with, and the MK Ultra biggest mass mockingbird project is using the media and sports and music and whatever to get everyone to lock in to whatever they pump through there, because this is the crystal. The pineal gland is what projects, and when we project out whatever we're thinking about, what we're talking about, what we're feeling, we project it out. It goes into the biofield. The biofield is bio, it means two, and it radiates out, but it also magnetizes back in. I'm not telling you guys anything new, but just for your people maybe who never knew that. But your biofield is about 6 to 8 feet, and it goes out, and basically it contains code by what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, what we're thinking, talking about, and feeling. This is the biggest magnetizer. These are more radiators, but this is the biggest magnetizer, 6,000 times more than this, by the way. And so what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, what we're feeling, whatever that alignment is, as well as our DNA has a signature code, or our organs have code. And so what we're pumping out and radiating out, we're also collecting. So if we go out 1, 2, 3, 4, we collect 1, 2, 3, 4. If we go out a negative, we get negative. And so if they're pumping a narrative that this is the truth and it's false, but you're on default and you don't even know that you're creating, you can lock into that even accidentally through the commercials that go through whatever, because all of everything that's through media is beta, especially the news, anything, TV, movies, it's all beta. Well, beta waves are where it's most easier to brainwash. Beta is chaos. Beta is fight or flight. So if you get them beta waves and they pump it through beta, then you could be watching TV, kind of half asleep. Next thing you know, you have the code and the programming subconsciously, unconsciously, and then all of a sudden you may be changing your belief systems. Repetition can change belief systems. Well, here we go. We got news channel after news channel, and they're all like literally given a script and bought and sold by 3 people who basically are like, here, this is what we want the narrative to be. So the whole world anchors into that visually, with our ears, with our hearts, emotionally, in a state of chaos, so we can be conformed to that. And if you're not careful and you can't recognize truth versus lies, then you could submit yourself to that, and then you'll use your creative power to set the world up, and they don't have to do anything by force because we're all doing it, cancel clear. So I believe we're in a 1984 situation. Currently, I believe that there is an opportunity for reset or awakening. I don't know what's going to happen because it's the willpower of the collective that will get us one way or another. And again, your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. We can override any unction of God. We can override any creation of God. We can override any love. That's what sin is. It's less than love. It's missing the mark. It's missing. Like if this is the frequency of love, This is not. Missed it. So, it requires repentance, which I don't really like that word because it comes across very religious, but the word actually just means to pent again. And pent, this is the penthouse right here. This is the master place of transformation, of moving out of this and transforming the mind. Transformation. It's taking information and transforming it into a place that is a real belief, a true belief, to be alive in. That word believe. What do you believe in? To be alive in it. And so what we are programmed, we can have a God program. We can be God in action, and we can do loving things, and we can create loving things. And I'm all about things like what you guys are doing to put out positivity so people will lock into your show and have a different narrative, the truth, the positive. And that's why we have our TV show, True TV, is to pump out the truth and, post the truth and to get people to align with what's real. And what's real, I guess I shouldn't say that, because whatever anyone believes is what's real to them. But the truth doesn't change. The truth is enough.
Yeah.
The truth is still going to be the truth, no matter what any fragrance or frequency comes up. I'm talking too much. I'm getting excited. So sorry about that.
It's great. It's wonderful. There's an energy I think that I would love for you to speak on a little bit, which is a lot of people come across this information and it's met with a lot of resistance is the word, where they either are resisting it in believing it themselves, or they're resisting what it is that they're seeing to be true, and they want to fight against it. So what kind of advice, because I know you have a background in conscious creation, conscious body language, conscious decrees, so what can you say to those who are going through an experience like that? How can we not resist things? Because the phrase, what you resist persists, we don't want to fight against it. How can we help people move into a place where there's nothing to resist and be in a state of ease?
Okay. So, and that's a great question. And that is a question I've asked myself many times. And like what you said, what we resist, we get more of, is the way I say it. And what you fight, you get more of. So decrees that I love are: God is the only power and presence acting here. Only God touches me. Only God hears me. Only God sees me. And creating that narrative for not only for myself and my mindset and my heart, but create the code of that into the field. So I only magnetize that to me. And I'm not saying that you won't ever get anything less than love. But I'll give you this story because I work a little bit with scalar wave, well, a lot with scalar waves. And there was two people that I absolutely love, and they kept sending me this video of a person who's supposed to be like a spiritual guru, a light worker, blah, blah, blah. And every time they sent it to me, no judgment at all, but every time they sent it to me, I was just like, that's good. I'm good. And they just kept sending it to me in a different way. So I was like, oh, you didn't see the whole thing, look at the end, it's like, I don't know what it was in me. And then I told them, I'm like, some people like ketchup, some people like mayonnaise, like it just doesn't vibe, and so it wasn't like I was mad or anything, but I just told them, please don't send me any more of this person, because I'm not going to watch it and you're wasting your time. And she's probably an awesome person, and also no. And so later I ended up getting my scalar waves tested of where I am, and also using Dr. Stephen Hawkins and his scale, which Robert Stephen talks about a lot too. He Powerful Force, I think, is the name of the book. But I was sleeping, and I was literally in my bed, and at 4:00 in the morning, I pop up and my mouth says, she just doesn't resonate with me. And I see me saying that to these two women. And I actually did say that to them at the end, but I didn't realize what I was saying. So here it was like 3 months later, and I wake myself up out of a dream saying, she just doesn't resonate with me. I sit there and I was like, oh my gosh. And I wonder if this lady has any scores on her. And I went to go check to see if anyone had ever done her scores, with these people that I work with. And lo and behold, she had been checked, and I don't know why. I mean, I didn't have her checked, but she was nowhere near my scores. And I'm not trying to say that I'm better or worse. We weren't literally at any kind of frequency that was the same. Mm-hmm. And that comes with programming, and it comes with, environment, and it comes with what you invest in. And there are some things, like I was just watching this one guy in Germany, and he was talking about the plan of the brainwashing thing is like, some people, no matter what, like all the way to the brink of death, are just going to believe what they believe. And there's no matter talking to anyone. So I don't try to convince anyone. I really believe it's witchcraft to try to convince someone, because that's manipulation, which by definition is witchcraft. Mm-hmm. I just work on me. I say what I'm going to say. If people like it, great. If it doesn't resonate, whatever. I'm also not that person that will go on Facebook and try to find everyone that I know won't agree with me and then comment and like try to prove my point and be right. Like, why waste your time? And if someone does that to me, I just delete them, because I'm like, I'm not here to fight or debate. You can scroll on, like, it's totally fine. Mm-hmm. And I'm not like in this conflict where it's like, I have to be right. And everyone, I've been very wrong, and I'm fine being wrong. And when people present things to me, like flat earth has come up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm willing to be wrong. I think it's a round earth, but if I'm okay listening to what you got to say. I've had a couple of people on my show that presented that, and I'm still round earth. And if I'm wrong, I will admit that I'm wrong, and I'll be okay with it. And I don't really have any care about it. You know what I'm saying? So I just, everything's an inside job. Mm-hmm. I work on me. I work on my creation of my field. So I'm attracting the people that are going to be at my residence, because that's the only thing that I can control. If you're going to use control in a positive, it's like, actually, it's what I can create. It's what I get to create. It's what we get to create. And sometimes it's funny when people come back later, and I've had a lot of people, probably you too, who are coming back after like months and months and months of hearing different things now, because things are being way exposed through different media outlets. And they're like, oh my gosh, did you know that? And I'm like, yep. Couple decades ago. Thanks for catching up. And no judgment, but it's just like, yay, I'm really excited you're here. Thanks. Happy birthday, you just got born.
Yeah, I've had to kind of take a step back and just be like, well, I'm gonna let my work speak for itself, instead of trying to have these concerned conversations with people. Because at first I was like, oh my god, you guys, like, what's happening? And just trying to get all the intellectual people that I knew in my life to look at some of the similar information, just to get their head in the game and be like, what do you think of this? And this was met with a lot of resistance, and it's disturbing. But I love that you are basically doing what I'm putting myself on the trajectory to do, which is let my work speak for itself. And if people want to align with it, then great. So thank you.
Have you seen, either of you, have you seen where people maybe have fallen off and not gotten excited, but you gain this whole other crowd who are like on board? And then have you also, second question, have you seen people who kind of fell off maybe a few months ago that are like awake now and going like, oh my God, Stephanie, did you know this? And you're like, I think I told you that like 2 years ago, right? Are you seeing any of that, guys?
Yeah, slow and steady. But Stephanie and I were both like red pilled about a year ago. And so you've had a little bit more time to experience some of that. But it's definitely weird. And I've definitely had to filter myself a little bit, and just what Amelia calls collect angel pennies. Where you're just like, kind of talk about the weather, let them talk about whatever it is they want to talk about, and just tell them that you're doing great, and keep it in the love vibration, and not get into the weird, face off of realities, basically. So it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. There's distance between friends and family in my life at this point. And,
wow, especially where you live. I'm not going to say it because I don't know if you want to out where you live, but that is a very intense place for
Yep.
ideas and beliefs.
Yeah, I think that at this point, there's probably some places that, because people talk, I think that there's probably some places that they would not let me in at this point and just be like, get out of here. You know what you've done. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And for a while, it weighed pretty heavy on me. And then I just, for me, it was part of the lesson in letting go of what other people think of me and really align
Ego.
and just like aligning with what I am being guided to do, with what I see as true. I've had too much evidence and weird things happen to me to just write all of this off and be like, no, 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 you guys are right, I'm wrong. It's like, well, actually, all of this weird stuff's happening and it's not going away. It's not.
One of my favorite decrees is I am honored and celebrated everywhere I go,
Ooh, I like that one.
even before I get there. So if I know I'm going somewhere that might be a thing and I have this like bad feeling or expectation, we can create that. We can
Yes.
self-prophesy, fulfill our own stupid prophecies. So I have to catch myself, or I get to catch myself and go, oh, nope, I'm changing that, because I'm the script person. I can reverse that, verse it again. And it's like, I expect love everywhere I go. I am, and I can, and I am love everywhere I go. Love follows me everywhere I go. I meet love everywhere I go. I'm honored and celebrated everywhere I go. Those kind of repetitions energetically to kind of pump out that code. So I'm drawing in something positive.
I love that so much. Ugh, thank you.
Definitely needed
Needed
that.
that one. What's that, Stephanie?
Definitely needed that. Been trying to be my authentic self and be able to speak my truth and my knowledge and share what I know. And I really admire Jessamyn because, the town she's in, people are very judgmental. But for me, the judgment is in myself, right? I'm in Toronto. It's quite free and, people are very liberal in thought, kind of. And then seeing, different levels of how politics, how belief systems, and how that all plays out and how to interact with all that. It's very nuanced and complex to navigate. But here you are, you're telling me there's a system that's actually really simple and black and white. You are a creator. You choose whether to accept being judged or not.
This book has the formula. It's called The Science of Miracles. Is it backwards to you guys?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, it looks backwards to me, but it gives the formula. And one of my favorite too, I don't know if this is Stevens or if this is Saint Germain, or I don't know who did this, but I ignite the Christ in everyone I contact, or I ignite Christ consciousness in everyone I contact.
Yes.
That's your expectation. Doesn't matter what city we're in. We can blast those cities with Christ consciousness before, like all day and all night, and get a few. We just need a few witnesses. And I used to think a witness would be like where 2 or 3 are gathered, and now I'm realizing it's not 2 or 3. Like here, it's this alignment that brings the witness.
The
That's
Trinity within ourselves. I love that taking, the Bible was instructions for how to operate within us, not, and they gave us stories because that's how people can relate and understand things. We need that detachment, and that's why I love meditation.
puppies.
Right. I have a few animals. Hey. Come.
When I was reading up on you, it said that you have 4 dogs. Is that true?
I have 4 dogs. I have 6 cats. I got a hedgehog. I had a horse, and a turtle, but we've just gotten down. I foster animals, so that's my sad job. I've had 92 kittens in 3 years. Not mine. I just have them until they get adopted out. But
No, that's amazing. That's awesome. I love that. My dog's looking at the computer like, what's going on over there? Huh?
Here's one that was a foster. This is my first foster that I ended up divinely meeting and keeping.
Cute. Well, I want to ask you one other thing because I was regularly working with a Chinese medicine doctor for a long time. She's very in tune to all kinds of the natural medicines, and she warned me about microwave technology and the dangers of that. And that was her main concern with some of the technology that's being rolled out. And then when I kind of reached out to her about some of the, bigger things going along with that, she's like, "Oh, no, 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 that's no, no." But this, regardless of that, what can you tell people about the science that you studied around microwaves and the effect that it has on the human body?
Well, there's a reason why if you go to like a gas station or something, there's like a danger sign on it. This is like to stand away from it. I didn't know about microwaves being an issue until I was doing some meetings in England, and I was a tea drinker, and we were staying at a house there, and I got up that morning and went to go was gonna microwave some water to make my tea, and I was like, where's the microwave? I looked everywhere, and my friend Dana was with me, and we were just like, well, that's so weird. Who wouldn't have a microwave? But so when they got up, I asked them about it, and we were in Manchester, and the guy was like, what do you mean? He totally thought we were insane. And he's like, those are illegal.
Mhm.
And this is like, I think it was like early, not late 90s, probably maybe early 2000 when that happened. I was like, illegal. So I started doing some investigating, and turned out it's illegal in most countries. And then I thought, well, because we're nuking food. We even say the term like nuke, let's, go nuke the food. And like, then you eat that nuke in the food, you kill everything that was good about it.
Yeah.
And same with the tea. I was like, well, it'd be fine with the tea, but you nuke the water. You put a really awesome tea bag or tea in it, and then you kill all of that and drink it. So it's like, yeah, no go, no bueno.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and it seems like the new technology that's being rolled out is like a super version of the microwave stuff. So it's just a little
I actually
concerning.
have some really good EMF protection for the 5G stuff, and I have like a plug-in that we carry on our website that'll cover 2,000 square feet. The main ones would be for like cell phone. I keep one on my phone, and then when I'm talking on the phone, I put it on speaker and hold it away from the brain. That's really important. And then I wear a necklace for body support, just because it's like a shield when you go out, because they have like stuff in the walls of places you go public, all of the wiring everywhere. I mean, it's in the ground. But Wi-Fi, cell phone, major appliances, we got rid of the microwave when we got back from that trip. And I mean, you can have it and not even use it. If it's plugged in, it's still emitting radiation. So, but we tested about 15, 20 companies, and most of them that we found were like plastic, like a $75 piece of plastic that did no protection at all.
Yeah.
And the ones that we found were sometimes up a block away, like a protection. So I was like, okay, so I really love this company. I know a billion more have come up since then, but that's what I've been using. And then we don't have a microwave, and people who come over, even my kids are like, can we get a microwave? Because their friends have them and stuff. I'm like, no, baby, we're not getting a microwave.
Yeah, when I did my holistic health coaching training, I got rid of my microwave very quickly after that. I was like, well, we don't need it. We got toaster oven, we got a stove, like we got everything we need. So
People are always like, well, how do you cook? What do you? It's like the oven, the stove, just.
you think they cooked like 100 years ago? They still ate back then.
No, I make a fire in the middle of my living room, and we just like, no. It's like, really? What do you mean? How do you cook? Do you not have a stove?
Yeah. Well, I know that you also do some work with essential oils, and I love that it's called essential. I always have essential oils on me. And I've definitely actually been in the position where I've got to anoint people, but not like in a spiritual sense, because there's just like really stinky stuff around, and everyone was like, oh my God, can you please get me some of that? But I think it was you that said that you had done a test on essential oils like 10 years ago. Was that you?
I've tested different companies because I'm kind of like a stickler for authentic, real stuff,
Yeah.
pure stuff. And what happened is I was having, when it, I would talk about oils in general. And when I first started my practice, excuse me, and I was getting people who come in, their eyebrows were falling out, they were having skin rashes, they were throwing up, they're having diarrhea. And I said, what is going on? And we would find out that they were using essential oils because of like a class that I had taught or something that they saw. They went out and bought it. And I was like, what's the name brand that you're using? And after a while, I was seeing like repetition of a lot of these companies were kind of messed up. So we started testing them, and we would find out like one bottle, for example, was supposed to be peppermint and it was 98% not peppermint. We tested like myrtle or lavender, and it would be, or cedarwood, cypress, wintergreen, and it would be like 99% not wintergreen. And I'm like, what's in this stuff? And so we would look to see what it was, and it was a breakdown of either propylene glycol, which is antifreeze, that's used for the purpose of shelf life, which you don't need any shelf life if you're using the real oil. Like King Tut tomb had stuff in there from years ago that was actually still really high frequency. But if you see an expiration date on an oil, then you know that something else is going on with that, right? But what they were doing is, or they would use like carrier oils, which carrier oils in itself are not bad. Like if you want to put it with an olive oil or a grapeseed oil or something. But if you fill it all with grapeseed oil and you only have like a couple dots of, or a couple of drops of something, then you're not going to get the effect that you would when you apply it neat, because anything that's a carrier is thick. It's really thick. And so basically it'll sit on top of the skin and it will not penetrate to go into the blood-brain barrier or the cells. Now, if you're using a fake oil, you don't want it to go in your cells anyway. If you're using propylene glycol, that is not a good thing either to diffuse, to breathe in, and or put on your body to have any kind of reactions. But so I called the FDA and I'm like, how is it that these people are marketing all this stuff 100% therapeutic grade A, da 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 da, and they're not? And they were like, oh, well, the label says that the oil is 100%. It doesn't say that the bottle contains 100%. I was like, wow, you guys are like messed up. So people are walking around and thinking that they're getting something and that they're paying for, and it's really causing them harm, number one, and not giving them medical support that they may be looking for. But also it could be actually harming them. And so I found two companies that do actually have the whole bottle contains. But what we've been, for a while, we pushed and we were trying to get something set up with the FDA that they would force people to put the contents on the ingredients on the back. Because if you go to a grocery store and you get cranberry juice, first of all, good luck. But second of all, unless it's like a health food store, but at least if it says something fancy on the front, like 100% natural, 100% organic. Well, my tire on my car is organic. So it's like, what is organic? Mm-hmm. But if you look on the back of that cranberry juice, you can see the breakdown. Mm-hmm. And it's like, 97% fructose or 90% apple juice and, maybe a little bit cranberry. So you get to see, most people would be tricked and just go, oh, that's cranberry juice. And they think they're doing something great, when really that's not going to help their kidneys to smash a bunch of sugar in there. But you know what I'm saying? So not everyone's trained in how to look at the marketing. Yeah. So you can be tricked. And then the scary part is that we actually found other more dark and sinister things in these oils, including semen, blood, urine, things like that. So we recognize, at first I was like, what? Why would that, it's like, what in the world? But knowing what we know about certain organizations and cabal, this is a ritualistic thing where they can like sneak through with consent, because they need consent. It's like, if you buy it and you put it on, then you're doing it, not them. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's just all these trickery, to get through a ritual, which now they have a direct contact through your DNA, because their DNA is connected to your DNA, so it's scary. It's really scary.
Ugh, that's wild. Well, can you leave us with? You said that there's 2 brands, or was it 3 brands that you know of that are pretty high vibe?
I love Young Living, and that's who I work with. I actually have a whole system of anyone who works with me. We give training, and we teach, and I have tons of videos and a whole set system for people can not just get a box of oils, but actually know what to do with it. Because I feel like that's kind of a missing piece too. It's like, thanks for the oil, and I sniff this. What do I do now? But Swiss Aromatics is another company out of California that I do trust, and both of these companies, especially Young Living, they actually farm everything, so it's all in-house under one company, and you're not going to get something from another company. And same with their supplements. Do not buy any supplements from any company at a store. Most of them come from China, and they are full of nanotechnology. We know what else comes from China, and there's a lot of things that we don't want it to participate in. But again, that is consent. Be careful what is in this stuff. We gotta be wise people in this season right now. It's very, very important what we're ingesting, because that is considered a consent. And but yeah, those are the 2 companies. The Swiss Aromatics, they have a very small inventory compared to Young Living. I like Young Living because they also offer cleaning supplies and makeup and shampoo and different things that all contain essential oils, which increase frequency. Because we're 67 megahertz, and all the oils have frequency, and some of them go up to 320 megahertz. And so, the lower you get in frequency, the more opportunity for dis-ease. But if you could stay above the snake line of 67 and above, then we will create like a great place for our body to do what it's actually meant to do and more, because it's greater things than these. And so, but yeah, I don't know if you guys are working with anybody, but if you want to work with someone that can help train you and teach you and all that stuff and way more, then definitely contact me on that, and I can connect you with Young Living and with the group that we're working with to really build an army of practitioners that, whether you're doing it for like a practical practitioner sense where you set up shop, or if it's just a mom at home who wants to have, be a practitioner for her family and her friends, or just yourself. You don't have to be a mom to have to be, to want to like your body and prepare your body and to have it maintained and loved and at a high frequency. So I think frequency is really important, and something that's hopefully being highlighted a lot more in this season. Vibration, secret, and I do hope that they declass some of this Tesla stuff. But people say like, well, what about the med beds and whatever? Are we going to need all these supplements and whatever? It's like, I don't think people are going to give up smelling good and having, great things for maintenance. I don't think people are going to pop in a med bed every day. It could be years before we even see them. And when we do, they're going to be expensive. And then, there'll be a time where they won't be, but that's way down the line. Right now, we got to do what we got to do to stay in our best game. I keep saying we get to be at our best, sharpest game right now. This is such an important time to be aware and awake and to keep that vibration, because whatever vibe you're at, you won't even be able to receive truth. Just like that lady that I was saying, is like, she doesn't vibe with me. Like, I don't even vibe with her. Not that it's bad, but the higher frequency we go, you're talking about angelic support, you're talking about source support. Not that they're up there. I mean, they're just a different dimension. But when we get to that point where you're talking about dreams, talking about intuition, you're talking about like really, really remembering who you are and what you're doing and what to do moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, because you're at the vibration of receiving extreme amounts of God-given information. But when we eat shitty food, sugar, you know what? The programs that are out there for MK Ultra, they won't even use kids who have sugar. You're out the programs. So sugar is a bad deal, not right or wrong. But again, going back to what I'm doing, I'm going to do my best game, which is going to be a lot of great things, a lot of things like greens and support real food, less bad vibes, and working towards maintaining and building, this temple that houses frequency and vibration and love and truth. So anyway.
And creation.
Yeah.
Well, I could talk to you all day, but you've got many more people to help and assist. And if you could just leave us with some information on how to find you and the different things that you're up to, and we'll call it good.
Awesome. Well, you can go to swiftfire.org, Swift as in quick, swiftfire.org. Make sure it's .org. There you can get on my newsletter, which is absolutely free. We have True TV, Swiftfire True TV, and you can sign up for the newsletter. It'll send you any of the interviews that we're doing or any new blogs that I do. There's some great resources there. My books are there. My crystal oils and decree cards are there. Yeah, I have a book on keto, on how to get out of the sugar cycle, keto reset. I have 5 books there. I have tons of classes in there. You can connect with me too regarding like learning how to muscle test, my divine partner. There's a whole membership on learning about crystals and how they work with frequency. And then too, if you're interested in essential oils, I have a program there where people can get their own membership and start learning and training how to be your best game for that in your home. So
awesome.
Swiftfire.org.
Awesome. I told Amelia, I was like, I feel like I need to take a break from the podcast just so I can go and study your work for the next several months, because I'm so interested in all that you're up to. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful knowledge and for saying yes to becoming a doctor and just staying in alignment with your true self. Your wonderful.
I'm going to add this too. 2 things. Doctor means teacher. And I think we sometimes miss the mark on what a doctor is. And when we think doctor, it's like, well, the doctor said, the essence of what a doctor was supposed to be was to empower and encourage you, the person, the individual, to remember and to be educated, to make the choices on your own, not to be told what to do and threatened if you don't do this, or given any false authority, mandates on you, like you got 6 months to live kind of thing. It's like, that is so, but yeah. And then also I want to say I'm on YouTube, but Telegram is my new thing. And that is where you can have an honest conversation where I'm actually not censored and or taken off or hidden. It's one direct place where you can contact me. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and that kind of stuff too, but Facebook, but Telegram, if you want a raw, honest discussion, then that's the best way you can get me right now. So, well, hopefully that'll be around for a little bit.
Awesome.
But thank you guys. You guys are amazing. And I hope to like hug you in real life one day soon. And I love what you're doing. I love your aura. Your biofield is beaming, bombing, loving it. Keep igniting everyone to Christ and to love and to truth. And oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry again. You guys make me cry.
This happened with the last interview a little bit too.
I made David cry and I was crying too.
Who did you interview? David
Nino Rodriguez.
I love him. He is my brother forever. I love him so much.
So sweet. And Stephanie is a very skilled empath, and so she was just like tapping in, and I was like, oh dear.
Love you too so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for being a co-laborer with me on this mission.
Yes, we are honored to be by your side in the greater scheme of things. And, people like you are what help fuel me to follow my dreams. So
awesome.
You're a true doctor.
Bless you guys.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.